Hello and welcome to the Car Care channel, and welcome back to our 600,000 mile Lexus project. In today's video, you see me change my mind. I initially said we're going to leave the timing belt alone, but after careful thought and one sleepless night, I decided we cannot leave it alone because we are the Car Care channel. We don't do that. We're going to tackle the timing belt, but first, we're going to finish our suspension job, so we're completely done with that. Let's do the upper control arms. So the upper control arm. Normally, you have to remove the strut, but in this case, we're going to try to do it without. Small hack. You can do these. They're tight, but you can do them without removing the strut. The only reason I'm not removing the strut, if I remove the strut, I will have a tendency of wanting to replace it. And we don't have the parts for it yet, so let's not remove it. Let's just do the control arm without. Do that. Got to get this wire off so it wouldn't get damaged. And that's out of our way. I'm just going to undo it here as well, just so. Here we go. That gives us plenty of room, because what we're going to have to do first is remove the ball joint here. I'm going to attempt to loosen this. There it goes. So the control arms are the last time we use our friend, the hammer. Because after this timing belt, there's no hammers on a timing belt. So let's get this off. That was not very hard to get off. That's off. I'm just gonna rest this without stretching anything. I don't think it's gonna happen. We're gonna have to get a bungee cord. Got a bungee cord. I'm gonna tie this here so it's not stretching the brake line, brake hose. Does that work? Yeah, it's not going anywhere. We're good. So this is the interesting part. You're not 17, you're 14. There it goes. There's one. And we literally need a tiny bit of clearance to get this guy out. There it goes. There it is. 600,000 mile control arm. Is this original? Let's see. I don't think this is original. This ball joint's completely gone. These bushings have seen better days. But I don't think, fortunately, we cannot say this is a 600,000 mile arm. Actually, wait a second. This is a 600,000 mile arm just from the markings. So there it goes. Goodbye, 600,000 mile arm. Brand new OEM control arm, which comes with new nut and new cotter pin. Let's install it. It's going to be a little bit of a fight to get this bolt to start, but hey, it beats the anxiety of removing a strut and not replacing it. All right, so these two bolts, you cannot tighten them until the suspension is loaded up. So we're gonna do that at a later time on the drive-on lift. But let's put our ball joint on. Oh, bungee cord. I guess that was working really well. beautiful cotter pin goes in. And then we're going to install our speed sensor wire back. Okay, that is all done. It's got the bolts left, and we're gonna do this exact same thing on the other side. It's exactly the same. Let's go do some timing belt. And we start that timing belt from underneath the car. Gotta remove the compressor, not remove it, just loosen it and have it sitting down so we can move on with our timing belt. Of course, the drive belt's already off from last episode, so that's it. Compressor is loose. That's all we need. So first thing when you do a timing belt, I've done a video on these, but we'll talk about it. You got to remove the thermostat housing. So let's remove this idler first. This is a 14. Then on the LS, this is just sitting here, which I already see my first favorite zip tie. This zip tie, however, I don't blame them for, because I don't think I've seen an LS where this part of the harness survived. It's very, very easy to get it this brittle. So we got this loose. Take these two off. And then this has sealer in this area. So basically, this, by the way, is going to start the rain. So sealer here, O-ring there. That rain will help us a little bit with the cleaning because there's a lot of oily stuff in here. Not a very nice sealer job. Okay, that's all going away. Not gonna worry about it. Then remove this cover, which I did order this clip. It hasn't come in yet. Do that at a later time. And here's the timing belt. A very dirty cover. Clean that up. Timing belt doesn't have giant cracks, but it definitely looks worn. According to the previous owner, who talked to the original owner, this timing belt was replaced every 100,000 miles, so technically this should be the 6th timing belt, or there's so. Unknown, and I am looking at sealer here, which shouldn't be. Should be just an O-ring here. These are usually the signs of Hacksville. Why do you put sealer when there's supposed to be an O-ring? But that's fine. Clean that. Could be worse. Let's keep going. I'm going to remove this little cover here. This timing belt is one of the easiest timing belts to do in my opinion, but you gotta know the order of business, and this video will show you that. Then we gotta remove the belt tensioner. In order to remove the belt tensioner, you gotta remove the alternator, which, by the way, I discovered that the alternator says Denso on it, but just by looking at it, that it doesn't look like the OEM Denso one. I have my doubts about it. So actually this alternator is gonna go. Basically unplug it from here. Take the 12 out. Folks, the battery is disconnected. That's why I just took this out. You never want to have this wire that connects here touch the body, it'll blow a fuse. We recently had a beautiful LS that came in, exact same thing. DIY mechanic touched this to the ground, blew the fuse. That was not fun. They had to tow it here. So if you are looking for a partially used, potentially counterfeit Denso alternator, we got one for you. After that is gone, drive belt tension comes out. Just 2 nuts and a bolt. This is getting replaced. It is made in China. That's not the problem. The problem is, what kind of brand is it? I don't know, but it's no good, and it's newer actually. That's going away. When you do this timing belt, you have a line in the middle. You have this side, which you just saw me remove. Then we're going to move on to this side. This side involves loosening the compressor, which we're going to pull back and let it sit down. And then we can remove it. The first thing, we're going to zip tie. That one, I don't blame them for the zip tie, because this wire gets so brittle, and this is full of oil and gunk. It's a very brittle zip tie. That's okay. This zip tie is okay. I concur. And this connector, this is now scaring me. Okay, that came off. Good. The other connector we're having a hard time locating, which is this one. It's working, but we're gonna have to replace it. Ooh, I wish I would have gotten this sensor. Probably gonna replace it. This wire is like a rock. That's okay. And somebody in the comments said every time I say that's okay, that means it's not okay and it's the closest thing to the end of the world. And they would be right. Let's remove this little rubber plug. Now we remove this cover. Very gunky. Very, very gunky. I don't know, folks, but if you're a mechanic and you remove this cover and you can't clean it, come on, man. This job pays very well. It's very easy. Ooh, this sensor wire is really not having it. We're going to remove this sensor. It actually, the wire intrudes on the water pump when we get to that point, so I usually remove it. I also want to clean it, although I'm going to replace it, but we'll remove it for now. Then the idler, the very expensive idler, we'll talk about this one in a bit, which have seen better days, and I think this is original, 212s, 214s. This thing is so gunky I can't even see where the bolts are. There's this idler. So in the original design of this engine, this was supposed to be where the fan would sit. On the trucks, for example, that's where your mechanical fan connects to. In the LS, it's just an idler. Very expensive though, for some reason. So to time this engine, and this is how well designed this engine is, they have a 0 top dead center mark and then a T mark. The T mark is what you're gonna do to do the timing belt. It's just past it. I don't want to spin it all over the place. We are never spin an engine backwards unless you're doing a timing belt. So I'm gonna spin it a little bit and then spin it back until the marks line up. And this timing belt, which is unknown how old it is or what's the deal with it, it is actually in time. It's perfect time. That means it's not stretched. Believe it or not, I've seen these belts stretch, not enough to cause codes, but they will be just off on one side and you can see it. Let's remove the crank pulley, which is a 22. This tool is too big. And this crank pulley is having serious separation anxiety. Let's see some persuasion. With these pulleys, you just tap not on the outside, on the inside, because you don't want to destroy the rubber. We said we were not going to use hammers, but oh, this one is on there. Okay, we're going to have to use a puller. Let's install our puller, which is a very old puller that I've seen many, many battles. All right, separation anxiety. You get over it. Plus, you're not going anywhere. You're going back. There it is. There we go. It's out. Now we remove the last cover. This cover usually sticks. Oh, this one didn't stick. Very dirty though. Then the crank sensor wheel. There's the timing belt. Move our tensioner. Whenever you remove a tensioner, loosen one side a little bit, then the other side. Just walk it slowly. Okay. There it goes. And then here goes the belt. Now the good news is this belt is not shredded to pieces, so that's good. It is, I just saw the markings on it. Now I can't find them, of course. There it is. It is not a Toyota belt, but it is an original OE manufacturer. Mitsubishi, not Mitsubishi. That is actually a manufacturer of belts. Very good brand. If you use this brand, this is as good as OEM. Now we remove the tensioner idler, which is okay. We had a hammer hands in here. Let's hope we don't have problems, because every time this is over tightened, we have, oh, this is not good, folks. This is not good. Oh God, there was no need to over tighten that, because the torque spec for this guy is 25. Did we pull thread? No, we did not. Got lucky there. That's not good. That was, all honesty, that was a scary moment right there, because every single time I've seen one of these over tightened, the threads comes out because it's bolted onto aluminum, and what it is bolted into is the oil pump. And removing an oil pump on this, at some point we're going to reseal it, take it out, probably replace it, do something with it, but it's not a simple job, let's put it this way. So got lucky there. See the thread here, it's good, so we're good. Now let's see if this idler is also over tight. No, this one came right out. Now it's a little bracket, and this wire is mounted wrong. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, this whole wire needs to be replaced, and actually this whole entire engine wire harness. This was destroyed right here a little bit. I hope it's not compromised. We're not gonna do too much, but it was routed wrong. This is a common mistake. The compressor crushes it if you put it on the back, and the front is in the correct spot. So that tells me whoever's been working on this does not know his UZ engine, which is one of the most common mistakes on this engine. One of the biggest things that burns you is routing this wire. What makes sense is the incorrect way. What doesn't make sense is the correct way when you route this wire. And I'll show you when we go back together, but for now let's remove the water pump. 5 one-time use bolts, 1 nut, and 2 studs. Well, let's see if it wants to come off with, nope, not gonna happen. I'm gonna have to do some persuasion. Let's see, persuasion, there it goes. And this is gonna make a decoration on my floor, so let's prepare for it. Very not nice coolant, which is green. Never understood aftermarket coolants. Why? They cost exactly the same. Coolant's not cheap. It's really hard to tell. Obviously, this water pump's been replaced before. It's really hard to tell the brand. It has the right markings of an ASIN or an OEM one, but it's really hard to tell accurately. There it goes. I have a really bad feeling about the gasket. I think somebody put sealer, because this should have come out by now. Why are you stuck here? Oh, here we go. Oh, why do mechanics do this? Why? You know, we harped at engineers at some point. Now I'm going to harp at mechanics. Good engineers designed this engine, and they decided you don't need sealer here. And then a bad mechanic decided, not a bad person, but a bad decision in the moment. Oh, let's put sealer so it wouldn't leak. I am yet to see a water pump leak. And now the next mechanic, me, gonna spend the next half hour cleaning this unnecessarily. That's just the reality of this. I mean, this gasket is more than sufficient. You put sealer here, you put sealer here. Why? Just get good parts and you'll never have issues. This is not, I'm really not happy with this because this is going to take a long time to clean it to our standard, and that's not good. But we're committed, we're going. Let's start cleaning this. Let's start cleaning first with a razor blade to get all the big chunks off, and then we'll finish it off, unnecessary cleaning, with some Scotch-Brite, because I need to get every last bit of this, otherwise the sealer will be counterproductive and be in the way of the new gasket. Folks, if you have any component that has a gasket only, do not put sealer. If your surface is clean and your surface of the component is clean, it'll never leak. So there's no need for it, because the next time you do it, you're going to have to do this and be really careful. It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand it, but somebody in their infinite wisdom decided this was the way to go. Here we are. Scotch-Brite and small notice: never use power tools to clean aluminum surfaces. This is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Do not make it, because aluminum creates a very fine powder that ends up destroying your water pump, because you'll never be able to clean it, and that's not good. So use Scotch-Brite. This is something controlled. Don't overdo it either. As soon as your surface gets clean, we're done. Okay, I think that is much better. We'll clean it and we'll see how we like it. But before we do that, there is one more area that they also put sealer on, which is the bypass pipe. There's an O-ring which did not remove all the sealer. That's just wonderful. Sealer here is dangerous, because if this gets caught between your O-ring and your pump, it'll leak. It'll leak very bad. So we really got to get every last drop of this here. Okay, I think we got it. Now let's start our final cleaning. The first step of cleaning is water. We're literally just gonna hose everything down, and you're gonna be surprised. Wait, water? Yes, water breaks down coolant and it turns into more water. So we're just gonna get rid of our coolant first. Just literally just hose everything down. Water ain't gonna hurt nobody here. We don't have opening electronics. Yes, we have that sensor, but that sensor is weatherproof. A little bit of water ain't gonna hurt it. Now that we got rid of all the coolant everywhere, I'm gonna give it a quick dry with air, and then we're gonna spray it with brake clean to get rid of all the oil. Let's use some compressed air. So now we're gonna clean the oil that is there, which this is just buildup from years and years of leaks, fixed, not cleaned. I don't see anything leaking here. So we're just gonna put a rag here to protect the coolant pipes. I wanna get as little brake clean in there as possible. Not get flying debris all over here, because otherwise we don't have anything open. So with that starts the Mechanics Perfume Festival. Brake clean has a very distinct smell, and mechanics are used to it. Many people get really offended by this smell, so we're used to it. Let's clean this whole mess up with oil. This stuff melts oil, literally. That looks 100 times better. Now we're gonna get a very dirty microfiber towel and kind of capture the last of the remaining oil and sludge and crud and God knows what else this thing accumulated in 600,000 miles. And this line is a rock. There's a replacement. Maybe I'll just walk here. Won't handle through here. That looks a lot better. It's not perfect, but I'll be able to sleep a few hours looking at, remembering this, so we're good. But what is not good is this rust right here. I want to get rid of it. Again, this is the nose of the crank, and you gotta be real careful. Just a little bit of Scotch-Brite, clean it up, so your crank pulley wouldn't seize up again. And you do the same on the inside of the crank pulley. We'll do that off camera. So when we go to install this, we don't have to hammer it in. It'll be a nice smooth surface where the crank pulley will go on and won't give us a hard time. And that looks much better. Give it a quick wipe down. Now I am extremely happy. This is nice. What is not nice still is this one, but we will clean it up as we go. But now it's reassembly time. So this is the parts collection that we got. First thing is, you notice not everything is OEM. And the reason for that, they're actually OE parts. This is an ACEN timing belt kit. It comes with basically everything you need, even the instructions. Timing belt, water pump, tensioner, idler, and the other idler for the tensioner. Exactly the same parts, they just don't say Toyota on them. This is the exact same manufacturer. I've compared original ones. I vouch for this kit, unless you get a counterfeit one, which are available, believe it or not. Second to that is the idler, which came in a very, very not nice box. Remember that idler I told you is very expensive? You'll see it when we install it. This is literally $250 less for the exact same part. Even the box size is exactly the same. This one says ACEN, that one says Toyota. They're exactly the same part. I don't know what's up there, but dry belt tensioner, cheaper than the ACEN one. Idler, same price. So why? We do have a drive belt. We have a coolant heater valve, which we are going to install in a bit. Some hoses, clamps, whatnot, air filter, Toyota reman alternator, because I'm just not having it with that Denso alternator. I think it is counterfeit and it's really making me nervous. Next on, eventually when we get to it, is a starter. That's another one that I want to put in original so we wouldn't have issues with this car. Having said that, let's install everything because we still have to bleed our brand new power steering system and then fire this thing to life. Reassembly time. First thing is this O-ring. We're gonna put a little bit of silicone spray on it just to make sure it doesn't get caught. One new OE gasket that does not need a sealer. One OE water pump. That's it. And then this is very important. These 5 bolts, they come with the kit. They are one-time use bolts. Try to replace them. Some of these kits, for some reason, don't come with it. If that's the case, call your supplier, tell them your kit is missing something. I've seen this happen, and we usually order them from Toyota direct and just have them on the side just in case. Because I've seen kits come without them. And then the one nut you do reuse, and then the 2 studs. And we put this cover on, crank pulley, and our idler goes on. And this idler doesn't want to go on. Might have gotten some debris in the thread. If not, we'll clean it up real quick. It's going. This is probably a chunk when we cleaned everything. Then our other idler, which has to have this little washer behind it, otherwise it gets stuck. Once you put this idler, you want to make sure it moves, because that's where the tensioner is going to move. Now we are ready for our brand new timing belt. It's also Mitsubishi. But before we do that, there is a little 3UZ trick. We need to do a timing belt. So we clean this. Yeah, went right in. Turn your engine counterclockwise just a little bit. Your crank. Just a little bit. That'll help you get your timing belt right on. And you'll see how that goes. Arrow faces forward. Left cam, right cam. Lines go right on the line on the crank. Very, very simple. Scary, because this is an interference engine. But it's actually simple if you take your time, and there's a way to verify the time on this engine, which we're going to see. I think, by looking at this, I think we need to move this crank a little bit more. No, I think we're good. We're going to get a mirror, look underneath, and our timing mark is right on. That's perfect. Whenever you install a belt or even a chain, you always want your slack. This is slack. You want it where the tensioner is. So remember when we moved the crank? Now we're going to move it the other way, clockwise, to move this slack. So we still have some more. Tight, 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 loose. And that's how you want it. Because now the tensioner, which we're going to install next, is going to take that slack away. And life is more than wonderful. New tensioner. Comes with the kit as well. Now we're pretty much set. Just put some covers on. Before we put the covers on though, hold on a minute. Pull the tensioner pin. Rocker wheel goes on. Clean the cover so this would look proper and I can sleep at night. Now our crank pulley now should go in without issues. Crank bolts. Now if you've done this timing belt and you're very nervous about this interference engine, you can actually check your timing like this. Let's turn it. Now the marks are gone. They no longer matter. You get it to 0. That's half the revolution of the cams. Turn it one more time. But this time we're going to go to 0 so we can check our final marks. We are at 0 top dead center. This one is lined up. This one is lined up. We are done. This engine is 100% in time, and now you don't have to lose sleep over it. Now we're going to put our brand new idler, the one that was supposed to be the pulley. But before we do, you make sure, this is where you make sure your wire is routed the right way, which it is now, which looks like the wrong way, but that's how it is. Install our cam position sensor. Now we install our very shiny cover now, which used to be a mess. Very careful with this crank cam position sensor. Then we hang our compressor, get it ready to install when you lift the car back up. Brand new OEM tensioner. Toyota remanufactured alternator. This little cover goes on next. Then this shiny cover goes on. Now we install our coolant thermostat housing. And last but not least, our idler. Would you look at this beautiful, beautiful sight to be behold? And this sight to be behold would be better when much better. This is how every timing belt job should look like, except it doesn't. Usually it doesn't. We found a lot of little stuff that was, one of them was this hose, had the original clamp here, worm clamp. Well, it could be worse. Everything is done. Looks correct, looks very much LS-like, except these, I will try to get these connectors. I don't think we will be able to, but we'll try them. Let's put our drive belt on. So we are fully done and we're ready to start this thing. Oop, that's the wrong direction. Yes, this tensioner feels so good. So much better than the old one. We're gonna have a really good night's sleep this night, folks. Now let's remove our valve, and that's the first thing I want to do. We can see, what do we have here? What kind of mess Hacksville mechanics did. Goes. There's the cable. So this cable, when you turn it on heat, pulls this little arm and opens the valve, and then when it shuts off the heat, it just turns it and closes the valve. And this valve is definitely the 600,000 mile valve because it is disintegrated. No worries, that's getting fixed right now. Now come the difficult part of removing the 600,000 mile hoses. This one is easy, the other one not so much. And I am not even going to entertain the idea of taking these hoses off. We're just gonna cut them, so we got new ones. No, yeah, even when you cut them, they're not that easy. And now, I had to cut this hose just to get it out of the way. I'm sorry, Hack Mechanic, we said that we love you too. We care about you too, but your fine work of art is going in the garbage. Oh, look at it. Oh, look at it. That's not good. Let me clean that and we'll be right back. Okay, we won't talk about Hacksville Mechanic anymore. So, Hacksville Mechanic didn't even bother to take the old original hose clamp off. That's okay. That's okay. Now I have a spare clamp for a rainy day. But now there is the monumental task of removing that hose. Let's try something else. Come on, you. We just said how much we like these clamps, and now you're going to give us a hard time? Come on. There it is. Retirement time. Let's go. There we go. Or not, I lied. You're going to stay for a rainy day. I am not even going to try to take this hose loose. I'm going to try to cut it. This is going to be very dangerous and unpleasant. Okay, if I know anything from my years of experience, the little thing that comes out of the heater hose on Toyotas, they're so flimsy usually. I don't know why they do it that way, but if you as much as just touch it with pliers, it's just gonna bend and it'll never see the light of day. So you gotta be really careful when you remove old heater hoses. See if that works. There it is. It's out. So you basically put a slit in the hose and then twist it. It'll open up and then you can get it right out. And I'm looking at this. This didn't get damaged, didn't get oval shaped, and that's what's dangerous. So something like this, but this is a lot stronger than that. If you press it here to twist the hose, it'll just push it in and now it ovals out and it's over. One OEM hose. Let's see if this goes. Oh, forgot the clamp. You know, we can't live without our beautiful OEM clamp. The reason I'm putting the clamp because this end's actually bigger, because this is the end that goes on the valve. And it's right there. I'm not going to pull the clamp yet until we situate things. We're going to test run it. Another beautiful OEM hose. Go right here with a clamp. That'll be nice. Okay. And then our new valve goes on, which this is what should have happened to this car from the beginning. Let's see if I can situate this. I think that is a good angle on the bottom one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the clamp off of it. Which OEM clamps, they do have that little clip, which you just position it. That's it. Ready for another 600,000. Put another clamp. We install the valve. There it is. Before we do anything else, let us connect our cable. Without this cable, this valve does nothing. Cable. I know it's foreign territory that you are working again, but it's okay, you'll be fine. Okay, now we undo our clamp. Right here. Beautiful. Then our last hose goes on. A little bit of silicone spray to help it. Clamps off hoses. This one doesn't have that. It's got a one-time release. There we go. This is how this car should have been from the day they repaired it. Why did they bypass it is beyond me, and took us what, 5-10 minutes to do this? Beautiful. These parts are not even expensive. Let's get the radiator on so we can finally start this car and hear it run once more. Let's install our radiator. We didn't do much with this radiator. It's a replacement radiator. Seems to be in good shape. I verified that it is genuine Denso, unlike our alternator. Folks, if you own an LS, replacing this radiator is definitely DIY friendly, extremely DIY friendly, because that's all it is. Just a few hoses, two 12mm nuts right here. Comes right out. Just sit in position. There's one, two. Then our wire harness, which I am still trying to locate clips for, so it would clip back to its original position. But in the meantime, we're going to put it in this temporary position, just so it wouldn't go flying out and hit the belt. Then our little cool vent goes back on. Okay. Now we get this 600,000 mile original hose on, and yes, you heard that right. We did all this work and we reused the hose because that's how much faith I have in Toyota hoses that don't have plastic in them. And the clamp. As long as you see it in the exact same position, we're good. And now we have another beautiful sight to behold. The Toyota original, or Lexus, whatever you want to call it, hose. Would you look at this beauty? Folks, if you ever replace a hose, radiator hose, it must be original. You will not regret it. Been doing this for a long time. There is no manufacturer that makes these hoses as good as Toyota does. And this is the right orientation for it. Let's get the new clamps. Put a little bit of silicone spray on these so they go in easier. Okay, we said it was going to go easier. Guess not. Okay, abort. This is not going all the way in. Okay, let's take our clamps back out. This is the beautiful thing about doing this. It never goes like you want it to go on video. It will come to the real world. Let's try that again. Let's try this side alone. There we go. Let's install our clamps again. OEM clamps. Beautiful OEM clamps. And okay. That's good. Pull this off. Yep. That went a little further back than what I wanted. Right there. And beautiful. This is almost done. We have one Hacksville thing we gotta fix, and then we put all this together and we start this car. Let's remove these ugly hoses and these uglier clamps. I mean, one was not enough. Two is what they put on this one. Oh, the second one's not even doing anything. Let's loosen it anyways. I really dislike worm clamps. Not only do they not work well, they're just a pain to deal with. Unacceptable. Out of my car, please. I'm going to attempt to also cut this hose because it's so brittle. Let's see if that does it. There it goes. Okay, first ugly hose out. Second ugly hose. On you. Although this one is not brittle, still cut it because it seems to be holding. There it goes. One new, beautiful OEM hose, 2 OEM clamps, the right way. This is where, just because mechanics are impatient to get their parts, we have to deal with this mess. This line is bent. Get it back up to position. That's it. And, oop, forgot the clamp. Clamp. And the other one. Another OEM hose, 2 OEM clamps. This is beautiful. This is how this car should have been fixed to begin with, but it didn't. Now it is, so I will sleep very happily tonight. Before we put our air filter box back, this is not gonna fly. Simple green, I'm gonna give it a quick wipe. It's not an official cleaning or detail, just that. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's better. Let's put our air filter housing back. New, original filter. Filters are just a piece of paper. For me, I have an account. Get it very easily. I don't want to deal with the aftermarket, but that you can go aftermarket with. And now, the moment I have been waiting for since we started this video. The LS bolt that I wanted so bad to put on from the day I got this car. So I get all this situated. Oh, how about that? I got so excited about the bolt. I forgot to route my mass airflow wire. There we go. Sorry about that. There you are. Now it's much better. Our hose here. The other hose here. This hose I might have to end up replacing because really not having it. Okay, and then PCV hoses we will replace when we get to valve cover gaskets. Now the moment I have been waiting for since we really started this section of the series, my LS bolt. It's going, and usually people forget it because it is not fun to install, and I've done a lot of these, so now we have the LS bolt, folks. In case you haven't seen it, here's how that looks like. This is secure now, and this is how this car should have been from the factory. Except this hose is not right. That's gonna need to go. So we'll deal with that. And this connector is broken. I'm gonna have a hard time finding a connector because there's no part number for these connectors. You just have to find one that fits. Tried everything I have in stock here, doesn't fit, so I'm gonna have to improvise and find something. So that stays, and there is the wire that is loose here. There's a few things that we gotta still work on, but for now, it's drivable. Let's bleed our power steering fluid, and then we'll fill it up with coolant and get it started. So we're gonna bleed the power steering fluid. I use Idemitsu, which is actually the OE. This is what comes in new Toyotas. We're gonna fill the reservoir, and you don't wanna just, this is what most mechanics do. You don't wanna just fill the reservoir and wait for it to bubble a little bit, and then just start the car, let it whine, keep adding fluid and all the aeration and all the mess. You don't wanna do that, because especially in our case, brand new pump, we're gonna kill it already. No, here's what you do. We're gonna wait for this to bubble a little bit, because it is gonna bubble a little bit, just to fill the lines and then stop. You're gonna lift the wheels off the ground, and you're gonna, in our case, we're just gonna have the rack up. In your case, if you're DIYing this, jack the front end up, and then with the car off, just keep turning the wheel lock to lock rapidly. You'll bleed so much of this off. If it stops bleeding and you didn't really put much, start the car for like literally half a second and shut it off. And you'll see the fluid drop, and then continue doing that until it's fully bled, where you turn the wheel, no more bubbles, no more drop in the level, and it's bled. You started, it'll make not a single sound, and that's how it should be. So let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna turn the steering wheel now. Jose, go ahead and turn the steering wheel. Turn it the other way. Yeah, I hear the bubbling. Turn it the other way. See, right now, we're airlocked. It doesn't want to drop the fluid level. So what we're going to have to do, it dropped a little bit, then it stopped. So we're going to have to try it one more time. Let's turn the wheel. No, we're airlocked. It's not happening. So we have to start this engine for literally half a second. Just as soon as it catches, shut it off, because the pump will spin. It'll just move the fluid a little bit, get us out of that airlock, and then we're good. So try that, Jose. Just start it for half a second. Shut it off. Okay. You saw that. That's how it happens. Because the pump just made its first push, and not enough to get air in it. So we're going to have to top off that reservoir before we build another air pocket. All right. Turn it lock to lock. There it goes. Now I hear the bubbles. Stop. So as you turn it to the end and stop, the level will drop and you'll see bubbles. You got to keep it topped off. So this is ideally a two-person job. Turn it to the other way. Now it's going. Now it's really going. Turn it the other direction. Turn it the other direction. See? It's gonna do those wild bubbling. That's normal, because you're getting all these air pockets out. Turn it the other way. You're getting the big bubbles out. It's gonna take a while, be patient with it. You do not wanna just turn that engine on, completely on, and let that pump fill up with air. That's really not good for it. Go the other way. So what I'm gonna do here is just put a rag on top so we're not also raining power steering fluid all over the place. Go ahead. Oh, stop, stop. It dropped. You're just gonna have to be patient with this. Trust me, that pump was not cheap, and we're out of fluid. And get more fluid. Let's add some more fluid. I'm gonna put my rag here so we don't overspill. All right, turn it. See, the level keeps dropping, and that's what when you want to add. Never go over max, because at some point it's gonna overflow on you and make a real mess. Turn it the other way. See, now it's getting close to being fully bled. All the bubbles are coming out. But you got to keep doing. As long as it keeps dropping in level, you keep going. See, right now it dropped just a little bit. Try it again. Yeah, I heard a lot of bubbles just came out. Turn it again. I think we're not dropping anymore. Try it one more time. So right now we're not dropping anymore in level. There's still potentially micro bubbles, but for the most part, we got most of the air out where the pump will not run completely dry until it bleeds itself, which is really not good for these pumps. Folks, let's go fill up the coolant. Let's start this thing and you'll hear it run. You'll hear that pump won't make loud whining noises and go all over the place. Okay, let's fill out the coolant. And this car is a 2001, so it takes red coolant. We already have some pre-mixed and ready to go. The LS is simple bleeding. You don't have anything crazy about it. You need to have the heat on so that valve would open, and that's really the only thing. So fan low, heat on high, and just run it, rev it up. It's bled, and that's really about it. It's very simple. There's no bleeder. There's nothing really weird going on. Everything is very simple. But let's add all the coolant and catch you guys when it's ready to start. Oh, the exhaust is on. We are ready to go. Let me get in the car. I'll turn the heat on full hot. Let's see. So temperature max hot. AC off. We are ready. Let's go. Well, it's alive. Any leaks? I don't see anything dripping, so did something right. Did you notice something? There is no whine from the power steering system. Fluid didn't even bubble. That's how it always should be. Always. And there's one thing I want to test out. And I'm gonna have Jose, you're gonna see a little bit of smoke because we cleaned, went on the exhaust, that is normal. I'm gonna have Jose watch the valve right here. I'm gonna switch it to full cold. We wanna see if that valve moves. So I'm gonna change the temperature now to full cold. Did that move? Yes, it did. Now let's change it back to full hot. That's max hot. AC off. It moved again. So now we have verified that our valve works, which is very important. So there you have it, folks. We did full time and belt job. All the coolant stuff is taken care of. I am extremely happy. This thing runs so quiet. No more whinings, power steering pump. No more Hacksmith coolant hose. Everything is good. I'm really happy. So here is what's going on. In a week's time, and just to give you reference, today is Thursday. On Tuesday, we are going to take this very car to an event about 200 miles away one way. So we're going to put 400 miles in a matter of a couple days. This will be the first trip. It's not very far, but hey, it's a trip nonetheless. So I want to get this car as comfortable as possible for our trip. Now it is safe. Suspension is good. What we're going to do next is send it to alignment. I don't do alignments at the shop. We're going to get 4 or 2 tires. I'm still debating. I changed my mind about the Cross Climate 2 because they are noisy, and noisy tires really bother me. I'd rather deal with sliding on the snow than deal with noisy tires the rest of the year. So we're still debating. I might just go with 2 Pilot Sports to match the fronts, although the fronts vibrate, so they might be bad, but we'll find all that out over the weekend. And the next video we're going to film here, we're going to do things like the steering motors that don't work. We're going to replace them so that would work, because it's really annoying to drive this car with the steering all the way down. That's annoying. And the other thing is the door lock. Driver's door lock don't work. And if we have time in that video, we're going to also address the check engine light, because it's summer right here and we do not enjoy the warm glow of the check engine light. So we're going to put the catalytic converter. Surprisingly, the code for the transmission went away after I drained the excess fluid. And by excess fluid, I mean 3 quarts of fluid, in case you didn't catch that. So we're going to kind of do the last touches before we take our first somewhat long trip with this and see how she behaves. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.